Well, number one, that was the best ad that's ever been run. 12.4 billion views. We wanted to bring it to the attention of the American people. And be very frank, it was President Trump. If he didn't comment on it, rather than 12.4 billion views, it might be 12.4 people viewing it. But in saying that, our intention was to bring it to the attention of the American people through the.
Good day, political junkies. Picture this: you're in the middle of delicate international trade negotiations, tensions are running high, billions of dollars are on the line, and then someone decides the perfect moment to drop a cheeky advertisement calling out your negotiating partner. Brilliant strategy, right? Well, Doug Ford thought so, and Mark Carney's eyeroll heard round the nation suggests otherwise. Buckle up, because this political drama is absolutely wild. Quick favor, if you're loving this, hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell to keep getting the latest updates on Canadian and UK politics. Cheers if you did. Now back to the show. So let's set the scene properly, shall we? Canada and the United States have had their fair share of trade spats over the years. Softwood lumber, dairy products, steel, aluminium, you name it, we've probably argued about it. But nothing quite prepared anyone for the moment when Ontario Premier Doug Ford decided to take matters into his own hands with an anti-tariff advertising campaign that would make any diplomat weep into their briefing papers. Ford, never one to shy away from the spotlight, commissioned ads that essentially told Americans their government was being unfair to Canada. Bold? Absolutely. Diplomatically sound? Well, that's where things get interesting. Now enter Mark Carney, the former Bank of Canada governor.
Greatest president that ever lived, that was Ronald Reagan. Protectionism does not work. We're their number one customer, they're our number one customer. We need to work together, we need to put that AmCan fortress together, and we're going to be stronger. It's as simple as that. President Trump came out the first day and said, if I was Canada, I'd run the ad too. And a little bird whispered in his ear, and the next day things changed. You know something? I'm in a very different position than Prime Minister. I respect the Prime Minister. He has to sit in front of President.
Former Bank of England governor, and now Liberal leadership contender who's seen more international negotiations than most politicians have had hot dinners. Carney's got this reputation for being the sophisticated grown-up in the room, the kind of chap who understands that diplomacy is a bit like playing chess whilst everyone else is playing checkers. So when Ford started bragging about these anti-tariff advertisements during what should have been a unified Canadian front, Carney's reaction was priceless. That eyeroll wasn't just a facial expression, it was the entire thesis on political judgment delivered in a single gesture. Here's where it gets properly bonkers. Ford's advertisements weren't just running in Ontario newspapers or on Canadian television where they might have served as nice little morale boosters for frustrated Canadians. No. These ads were running in American markets, specifically targeting states that trade heavily with Ontario. The messaging essentially painted American tariff policies as harmful to American workers and families. Now, you might think that sounds reasonable, appealing directly to American citizens about shared interests. But here's the thing about international negotiations.
Trump. It's easy for me to sit back and say that. And it's a lot more difficult when you're the front line guy that's negotiating with them. That's how I feel. We did it at a fraction of a cost, and my goodness, it got people's attention. Simple as that. So it was a great ad.
Just to follow up, Premier, since you're there.
Timing is everything, and unilateral messaging campaigns during active talks are about as helpful as bringing a megaphone to a library. But wait, there's more to this delicious political mess. Ford's defense of these advertisements has been nothing short of spectacular political theater. He's positioned himself as the defender of Ontario workers, the premier who won't back down, the guy who's willing to fight fire with fire. His supporters love it. They see a leader who's not afraid to punch back when Canadian interests are threatened. His critics, however, and this includes a visibly exasperated Carney, see something rather different: a provincial premier potentially undermining federal negotiations for political points at home. Now let's talk about what actually happened to those trade negotiations, because this is where Ford's victory lap gets rather awkward. According to sources close to the talks, American negotiators were absolutely furious about the advertising campaign. They saw it as Canada negotiating in bad faith, trying to pressure them through public opinion while sitting across the negotiating table. Some reports suggest the ads directly contributed to a hardening of American positions on key issues.
I mean, Prime Minister Carney kind of made a face when you said it was the greatest ad ever.
It was.
I'll maybe get him to weigh on that as well, but by not backing down, are you putting your own interests ahead of people in the sector?
In what sector? I believe you just can't roll. You can't. I'm in a different.
Essentially, Ford's advertising blitz may have achieved the exact opposite of its intended effect, making Americans less likely to compromise rather than more sympathetic to Canadian concerns. Carney's eyeroll, then, wasn't just about disagreeing with tactics. It was about watching decades of careful diplomatic relationship building potentially damaged by what he likely views as provincial grandstanding. Carney knows both the American and Canadian systems intimately. He understands that successful negotiations require trust, discretion, and unified messaging. Ford's approach violated pretty much all of those principles simultaneously. The broader context makes this even more fascinating. Canada's relationship with the United States is our most important bilateral relationship, full stop. Hundreds of billions in trade, integrated supply chains, shared continental defense, the works. When premiers go rogue on messaging during sensitive negotiations, it doesn't just affect one deal, it affects America's perception of Canada as a reliable negotiating partner going forward. That's the bit that really seems to irritate Carney, this potential long-term damage for short-term political
position. I'm not speaking for the Prime Minister. I'm speaking for the people of Ontario. We're getting hit the most out of any single province in this entire country. He's attacking our steel industry, attacking our automotive sector, attacking our manufacturing, our pharmaceutical, our life sciences. I'm not going to sit back and roll over and
political theater. And here's the kicker, Ford is still defending the ads as a massive success. In his telling, he stood up for Ontario, sent a message, and showed strength. Never mind that trade experts and diplomats are quietly tearing their hair out. Never mind that the actual negotiations reportedly went worse, not better. In Ford's narrative, he's the hero of this story, and anyone suggesting otherwise simply doesn't understand real leadership. Meanwhile, Carney
not fight back to protect the people and their jobs of Ontario. It's as simple as that. That's my job, to protect the people.
He's sitting there, eyeroll at the ready, representing everyone who's ever had to clean up someone else's diplomatic mess. The contrast between these two approaches to politics couldn't be sharper. Ford represents the populist, shoot-from-the-hip, worry-about-consequences later approach that's become increasingly common in modern politics. Carney embodies the technocratic, measured, think 3 moves ahead philosophy that dominated before social media made everything immediate and reactive. Neither approach is inherently wrong, but watching them collide over trade policy has been absolutely riveting political theater. Thanks for watching, political enthusiasts. Keep your eyes peeled for more drama from both sides of the Atlantic.